Previously on Chaos Head Noah.
あの二人と何を話していた？
昔話だ。互いに分かり合うことのできないね。
分かり合うことのできない？本当にそうか？今でもつながりがあるんじゃないのか？この半年どこで何をしていた？今になってこの場所に都合よく現れたのはなぜだ？このビルのどこかで私たちをモニタしていたからじゃないのか？
私はこの半年渋谷を徘徊していただけの死にたがりだ。転生振興会にも望みテクノロジーにも戻るつもりはない。
I am grateful we were able to establish contact with you. We are the Committee of 300. Huh? Wait, so it wasn't Shogun? It was the Committee of 300? I heard that name over and over today. Those old guys that had supposedly been killed earlier, Kuromochi and Inohana, had both said they were a part of the Committee of 300.
西条、どうした？
Sena peeked over my shoulder at the monitor.
なんだそれは。
わからない。僕に名指しで呼びかけてきて。
Aoi Sena, you too are being monitored by us. All three of you are. Nishijo Takumi, Aoi Sena, and Hatano Issei. Alarmed, both my gaze and Sena's snapped to the ceiling. Were they watching us with security cameras? There were several things in the room that looked like cameras, but all of them had been destroyed by the earthquake and therefore weren't working. The other monitors were completely silent too.
そいつ何者だ？何をバカな。300人委員会だと証明することはできるのか？
Neither Kuromochi nor Inohana were members of the Committee of 300. They were merely under the impression that they were, and it was us who implanted this idea within them. Now there's a plot twist. They proved convenient pawns in our guise. The same can be said for all those involved in the Committee of 300 conspiracy theory. Us true members have yet to take the stage. Even if we were to consider doing so, that much is not possible, for we do not exist in your world.
このチャット相手との議論はしない方がいいかもしれない。相手の意図が不明だ。言葉しか見えないのではいくらでもフェイクの情報を織り交ぜることができる。
The advice was solid, but the text on the monitor kept appearing rapidly. I couldn't get a read on the guys behind the handle. They knew a terrifying amount of information about us. Calling us God would be appropriate. We are the 300, each of us with our own assigned districts. We are those who administer your world. Our administration aims to erase errors and establish order.
お前はそう信じたいだけだ。現実に蘇ることなどない。
うるさい！お前は黙ってろ！
心の負い目につけ込まれているぞ。相手は巧妙だ。こいつは神などではない。今確信した。ただの詐欺師だ。神は自己完結した存在でなければならない。生死の概念そのものを持ち合わせていないし、理解できない。そういう存在だ。
黙れと言ってるだろ！お前の宗教観は聞いてない！
Sena's D-sword once again found itself pointed at Hatano-san.
元はといえばお前がいけないんだ。お前が母さんを殺しさえしなければ。
その償いはするつもりだ。私を殺しても構わない。むしろ私はそれを望む。だから母さんを蘇らせようなどという虚言を信じるな。
そうやって逃げようとするのが一番許せないんだ。
Oh, for fuck's sake. Now wasn't a time for some father-daughter screaming match. Maybe I should just leave these two behind. Then I can go and take the cheat code for myself. The Worldwide Human Domestication Project. A term that would find its way into any discussion about the famous Committee of 300 conspiracy. Those who knew the conspiracy speculate that the Committee of 300 means to establish a one-world government to unify the world, and once they do, they shall guide the world through the creation of a new world order. Aside from a selection of chosen people, all of humanity will be subjected to semi-permanent brainwashing, applied via a silent weapon, turning them into mindless slaves. Just like livestock, their flesh, milk, labor, children, and very lives shall endlessly be stolen away by the elite. Should this be realized, it would perhaps be humanity's cruelest, most systematic utopia of all. Unknowingly having their wills stolen from them and being automated as livestock, the remains of humanity would be constantly exploited, all the while continuing to live their lives in blissful ignorance. As they would have no way to know of their exploitation, they would never raise any objections, nor rebel against their circumstances.
多分この赤ちゃんがチートコードだよ。
I mean, if we thought about what they said... If the baby was the cheat code, it wouldn't activate unless we destroyed it. You want me to kill a baby? Destroy it. In other words, kill it. Hell no! I'm not gonna kill a baby. Fuck this cheat code. I went silent, and Sena glared daggers at me. She shielded the baby of her arms.
できない。できるわけないだろう。あの地震をこんな暗くて狭い場所でたった一人で生き延びたんだぞ。
それはチートコードだよ。地震が起きた後にここに現れたんだ。それは人間じゃない。そう見えてるだけで。
あの自称300人委員会の言葉を信じればな。もし違ったら、あるいはもともとここに置き去りにされていたこの子に後からチートコードだけを埋め込んだかもしれないんだぞ。
She broke down crying. Ignoring her wails, I clutched the baby. Cheat code. Activate. Lend me your power. His D sword? Suddenly I noticed it. A strange color, shrouded in faint light. A shining sword was laying at my feet. A D sword! Forgetting about all the pain, I took hold of it. Despite being so long and gigantic, it was shockingly light. It was almost like I was holding nothing but thin air. I now knew for sure this was a real D-sword. It was no fake. Hot damn, cheat code. To think I'd finally got my hands on a D-sword this easily, after struggling to get one for so long.
お前の覚悟ちゃんと分かったから。壊そう。その子のためにも壊そう。 人で力を合わせてお前だけ死なせない、お前だけ無茶させない。私とお前は運命共同体だ。ずっと一緒だ。死ぬ時も戦う時も一緒だ。もうこんな悲しみの連鎖は止めよう。復活とかそんなのどうでもいい。自然の摂理に反することはするべきじゃない。私はただもう憎しみも悲しみも見たくないんだ。こんな世界を見たくないんだ。お前が傷つくのも見たくないんだ。だから一緒に壊そう。全ての元凶を。
エラーは全て消滅。ノア2と野呂瀬源一の消去も確認したわ。オリジナルの西条拓は確保済み。虫の息だけどね。コピーの西条拓および畑野瀬名は予定通り任務を実行後共に死んだわ。今後も引き続き調査は続行するけど、おそらく畑野瀬名も西条拓もエラーは生み出さなかったんでしょ。それでいいんじゃない？私の仕事も減ったことだし。あ、そうそう。ついでに周りをうろちょろしてた天聖振興会の信者連中も処分しといたから。崎畑李民には逃げられたみたいだけど、まあ脅威にはならないでしょ。世界人間牧場計画の予定には若干の修正が必要ね。でも今回の一連のエラーは計画へと利用を還元できると判断するわ。結果的には300人委員会に何らの不利益も生じない。了解。デバッガード任務は終了します。以後監視者の役割に戻るわ。
And so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Chaos Head Noah. So, we got 3 heroine routes down, 3 more left to go. And then after that, the true ending. At the rate that we're going, though, I predict that we'll probably get this whole series done probably within roughly maybe 10 parts at the most, give or take. Can't say for sure until we actually get to that point, and I'm not in any major hurry to get this series done. I'm just guesstimating at this, really. So, we got Sena done now. Next on my list is everybody's favorite walking nut, cutesy. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and hop right to it, and I will see you guys shortly when I get to the relevant parts of her route. Is there any diagnoses I can get left that I haven't seen yet? Not delusional at all. I think I saw that. Slightly, moderately, greatly. I'll just try something here. If it looks familiar, then I'll just write these off from this point forward. Premonition. Cried once. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, unless there is a specific diagnostic result I just haven't gotten yet, I think I've pretty much gotten all of them. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. We do have this, though. Gladiolus. This bifurcated blade represents Sena's own fragile spirit. Despite its intimidating, aggressive design, the sword is actually quite fragile in structure due to being split into 2 sections. Of course, the normal laws of physics do not apply to these swords, so in reality, it is not fragile at all. Well, I mean, it seems pretty consistent with what I've seen with everyone else's D swords so far. It just seems to pretty much represent their personalities pretty well when you really take the time to just stop and think about their design. Let's see here. Could she be here to help me? I believe so. Yeah. This student must be a professional exorcist. An exorcist in severing spirits from flesh? Why, yes. I believe she certainly can be. Her wimpy look... Oh, wait, I'm not... She acts frail, but that's all it is. An act. Yep. She must be here to kill Remy. Well, according to the guide, I'm supposed to say yes to this, but I have no idea why I would... Well, wait. We're trying to read this from Takumi's perspective that Shogun is the bad guy, and that he's paranoid that every single slightly suspicious person he comes across could be an underling of Shogun, sent to either kill him or his allies, so I guess, yeah. I just love it when I answer my own questions. Saves me a lot of time. The two of them should just kill each other. No, let's make love, not war. Okay, is that it? Okay, it looks to me like that's everything I need to do to set all this up. So now we wait until we get to Kozupi's route with her unique story segments. And while we're waiting, I shall get back to sneaking. Perfect timing. I fail, and suddenly we get back to the story. Alright. I don't think I need to whip this out anymore for today's episode. As the final class ended, the stuffiness of the school day gave way to a restful afternoon. Alone, Orihara Kozue plodded her way out through the front gate. As she walked, Her lazed motions and lowered head highlighted her frailty. With her knit eyebrows and muddled expression, it seemed as if she were holding back tears. Having just transferred schools, Kozue felt isolated from her peers. However, that was only natural for her. She would rarely, no, she would never speak. Even when called on by a teacher to solve a problem or read from a book, she would just fidget in her seat, tears welling in her eyes. Not a single person in the school had ever heard her voice, neither student nor teacher. Kozue constructed walls between herself and them, and those made curious by the novelty of a transfer student were quick to drift away. Even then, one or two inquisitive classmates were still determined to speak with her, but she had no desire to open her heart to them. Still, she never felt that her situation was particularly urgent. Even though it was only one person, she did have a friend. An older girl who was not in her class. Given that Kozue was new in town, the girl was the only person in all of Tokyo that she could confide in. Other than her, she felt she did not need to make friends. She did not need to get along with her classmates. All she really wanted was to continue living her quiet life. On this evening in Shoto Park, one could hear the sounds of children playing alongside the pond's bank. A boy happened to pass right by Kozue on a trail along the waterside. In his hand, he held a petite mirror that displayed the face of its owner. Two housewives, likely the mothers of the children at play, were chatting on a bench. Kozue could hear their voices clearly.
三面鏡の怪奇ビデオっていうのがものすごく怖いのよ。
あら、そうなの？私それ知らないわ。でも三面鏡って？
ほらあれよ、鏡3つ並んでるやつ。
ああ、鏡ね、三面鏡。それでどんな怪奇ビデオなの？
Kozue stopped dead in her tracks at the bench. Her forehead became sickeningly slick with sweat. The women put their talk on pause, glancing questioningly at the odd girl before them. Suddenly becoming aware of herself, Kozue rushed away from the park. Mirrors. For Kozue, they were a source of great psychological trauma. Not wanting to recall the past, she frantically fought to keep the memories from flooding her mind. She told herself that she was overthinking it, and again continued walking toward the station. As she approached the front of Bunkamachi, her eyes were assailed by light, a glaring and radiant light. Kozue shivered in fear. So many times in the past, she had been assaulted like this, by reflections in the mirror. Her mind overflowed to panic, unable to hold down her nightmarish past any longer. Was it a coincidence? Or was she being targeted? Targeted. She looked all around, praying it was just a misunderstanding. A short distance away, a white station wagon came to a stop. A man leaned out of the driver's window. In his hand was a mirror. He seemed to be adjusting its angle. The light struck Kozue's eyes, again and again. Frightened, she raised her hands to block the light, dashing across a pedestrian scramble in order to escape. Her mind ran rampant with terror and disorder. She wanted to get home as quickly as possible. She did not want to be here. Tears streamed down her face. It has to be a coincidence. She desperately repeated these words to herself, wiping away the tears of her fingers. Just then, light assailed her eyes once again. Its glare dazzled her, violently piercing her gaze. The car from earlier had followed her. Like I said, targeted. This time, only the driver's arm protruded from the window, and in his hand, he still held that very same mirror. Snapping out of her trance, she put everything she had into running for the station. She bumped into numerous pedestrians while pushing through the crowd. The fear kept her moving, paying no mind to all the mockery and insults sent her way. Upon arriving at the station, she turned around, only to find the white car stopped at a traffic light at Scramble Crossing. Kozue hid under the shadow of the Hachiko statue, huddling in place with bated breath, struggling to comprehend all that had happened. In her head, the same phrase repeated like a broken record. It's just a coincidence. 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 It's just a coincidence.
セーラー服萌え
Startled by the voice, she lifted her head. A man, seemingly a college student, stood by the Hachiko statue as if waiting for someone. He stood alone, his back turned to Kozue, and spoke into the phone pressed against his ear. His voice echoed in her head. That sailor suit was so hot, it was on fire. That sailor suit was so hot, it was on fire. The man did not turn toward her. The phone remained against his ear. He seemed to be listening to whoever was speaking on the other end. However, not once did the man chime in or nod. He simply stood there, still as could be. Was he really on the phone?
瀬戸内の花嫁最高
The voice echoed once again. She could not understand how or why, but the man was speaking of things related to her painful past. She began to tremble. It frightened her to even so much as look at the man. She slowly crouched down on the spot, covering her ears. It's all coincidence. This is all one big coincidence. She continued silently chanting this to herself, all the way until nightbreak from the looks of it. As she sat there, crouching in place, an hour passed. Many people had passed by, but none tried to speak to her. When she finally managed to timidly raise her head, she found that the man was long gone. Wow. I keep forgetting just how much her Kozue's particular mental torture. Well, how it just sucks. I mean, every single bit of trauma and torture that the other heroines have been through is pretty bad in its own right. I mean, Ayase here in particular. I mean, she's probably had the worst of it, if we're being honest here, based on what little we've seen of it so far. But Kozue, hers is pretty up there. I mean, being able to read the minds of everybody around you and having no way of shutting that background noise off, I mean, it'd probably drive me mad too. So I'm trying to think. Besides that one specific scene, where exactly is this story going to officially branch off into Kozue's route proper? And we get nothing but new story content from her from that point onward, because Sena's route starts around this very chapter, if I remember correctly, that we're currently in right now. Same with Nanami. And I think Yua was a little bit later than this, like probably a couple chapters later than this. Oh. There was little indication that there were any people present in the back alley of Center Guy. The breathing of a girl, Orihara Kuzue, could faintly be heard resounding through it. Oh, dang. She cradled the gargantuan sword. Or perhaps it was not a sword. Its unique shape brought its identity into question. It was more akin to a snowboard. A snowboard of death and destruction! The sharpness of the blade could not compare to one, however. Its surface was stiff and exuded a brutish aura. Wielded against another person, it could slice through them with ease, all while grinding every bone in their body to dust. Maroon trickled down the blade, clinging to its edges. A young man in front of Kozue attempted to crawl away. Despite the puddles of filthy water, he tried desperately to get even a little bit farther away from her. Kozue's face held a brilliant grin as she stared at the man. There was no trace of her usual cowering, timid personality. She was enjoying herself. Her cheeks were flushed, perhaps from excitement. The sword in her hand had been used on 2 others before the man, and had been a remorseless bloodbath. Kosupe's not going to kill you, but baddies need to be punished. The faces of the vulgar young men were bloodied and swollen. Until only moments ago, they had been tormenting Kozue's classmate, Nishijo Takumi. She heard the voices of their hearts by chance. Multiple boorish voices had wrenched their way into her head as she was passing by. Piece of shit, don't look down on me like you. Piece of shit, don't look down on me, you Esper freak. Die, I'll beat you to death, you little shit. If that cunt, I'll whoop your ass. Fucking die, Esper. Shut your goddamn mouth. Fuck! I'm so pissed off, I'm gonna end you. Stupid bitch gave me the cold shoulder. This is revenge, fucker. Shut the hell up. What does your girlfriend troubles have to do with Takumi? Rotten hell, fucking die already, you fake fucking Esper. The hell does it take to kill you? Just die! This shit's just what I was told to do. To get the This shit's just what I was told to do. Do this shit, get the money. The 2 do's right there just tripped me up there a good bit. I'll make a shit ton of money. I fuck him up, I get money, I want money, I beat him to utter shit, I'll fucking kill you, kid. I'm gonna slaughter you, I'll tear you to pieces. Christ, it feels good beating people to a pulp. There's nothing fucking better, I swear. It's like I'm fucking high or something. For real, this is fucking fantastic. I don't give a shit about the world. There's nobody who can fucking stop me. Oh, how wrong you are. The police won't do shit. My old boss won't do shit. My fucking mom won't do shit. Either nobody but me is on the fucking top. There ain't nobody better than me. I'm at the top of the fucking world. Bitch, stay still so I can kick the shit out of you. Holy shit, I'm awesome. I want to kill them. From the cluster of voices formed by perverse hearts, a single voice of rage and hatred rose above. Recognizing the heart's outcry as Takumi's, Kozue had come running to where he was, and she had then attacked the bad men. One more person, and justice would be dealt. The threat to Nishijo Takumi and herself would be eliminated. For that reason, Kozue refused to let the young man crawl away. There would be no escape. I take it back. I'm sorry. I'll die. I'm gonna die. You'll fucking kill me. I'll die. I'll die. I'll die. I don't want to die. It's not fair. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'm gonna fucking die. My guts will spill everywhere. I don't want to fucking die. I want to keep living. I want to have a good life. I want to do all the stuff I always wanted to do. Like what? Beat up high schoolers? Young man's heart frantically pleaded for mercy. Kozue's wide smile did not fade. She gripped him by the back of the head, grabbing a fistful of hair, and forced him upright. She accomplished this despite the immense disparity in their physical appearances. Lacking the willpower to resist, tears welled up in his eyes as he begged for mercy from the innocent little girl. Kozue's answer was a swift denial, but it was not one she voiced aloud. She simply mouthed the one word letter at a time with her small mouth. No. Lifting it above her head, the gargantuan sword roared as it approached the man. With one blow, his jaw was pulverized. His shrieks reverberated throughout the alley. The man was blown away and collapsed in a heap. Blood would have splattered all over Kozue's clothes, but she used her blade to shield herself, allowing her to avoid such an event entirely. With a nod of satisfaction, Kozue erased her sword. She then glimpsed at Nishijo Takumi, who was collapsed in the corner of the alleyway. She's such a good attack dog. Somebody should give her a good head pat. Breathing loudly, her heart murmured. Kozubi wanted to kill them for you, but Kozupi's gonna stop here. Oh, that's it? Surely I gotta be getting close to the rest of her route by now, yeah? Or do I gotta whip out my Game Boy for a little while longer? I'll take that as a yes.
よかった。
Oh. Before Shinsen Station, Orihara Kozue stood petrified. Over the past several days, she'd been going back home from here rather than Shibuya Station. All because of the white car that had been following her. And today, the white car appeared once more. Maybe you should give it a red paint job, if you catch my drift. As if waiting for someone, it was parked in front of the station. Stricken by this, Kozue froze dead in her tracks. The passenger side window slowly began to roll down, before stopping nearly halfway. Suddenly, the hand of the passenger emerged from the opening. Within their palm, a handheld mirror was clutched tightly. Through her eyes, it felt almost as if they were taunting her, goading her. McDonald's hamburgers. The raw terror alone made her feel as if she may stop breathing at any moment. Refusing to wait even a moment longer, Kozue whipped around and took off running. Focused entirely on her attempt to get away, she had no capacity to maintain proper footing, falling and scraping her knees many times as she sprinted. Upon reaching Miyashita Park, she took refuge on a bench and continued trembling well into the night. However, she could not afford to embrace her knees forever. Despite her fears, Kozue decided it was finally time to make her way back to Shibuya Station. But when she reached it, it was parked there too. The exact same car from before. Wait a minute. Takumi's residence is close by here, isn't it? I wonder if she's gonna run into him and she's gonna ask for shelter. Though she had no destination in mind, she bolted once again. Tears poured down her cheeks with no end. Doubt was all that filled her mind. Who could possibly be in that white car? What could they possibly hope to gain by harassing her? When she came to her senses, she realized that she had found her way back to Shinshin Station. Given that the car had been at this very station earlier, the last thing she wanted was to return to it. Taking her chances, she entered an unfamiliar, narrow alley. Due to the lack of streetlights, the area was incredibly dim. Something only served to magnify the already intense dread in Kozue's heart. But at this point, Kozue was already drained. She did not have the energy to continue running. Wiping away her tears, she kept up her desperate struggle, stumbling every other step of the way. And right when she thought she was about to hit the main road, the white car passed right in front of her. Kozue was shocked by its sudden appearance. It then traveled approximately 50 meters away from Kozue before stopping on the shoulder of the road. Its hazard lights flickered to life. She lost all willpower to run. No matter where she ran, they would always find her. As if it were reading her mind, the car would always anticipate where she would be. Sinking to the ground, she cradled her head in her arms. Within her heart, she cried out for salvation. But in the end, not a soul came to her rescue. Even as Kozue began to stagger away in a fit of tears, the vehicle remained parked. And to the very end, whoever was inside made no attempt to show themselves. Yo. Aye, Neinhardt-kun. I've been waiting for you. I bet you have. Because there's been another new gen. And I bet you're real proud of your handiwork, aren't you? Or maybe it's your boy toy's handiwork. What are you even on about? Insert ASCII art here. New gen, dude! What the fuck do you think I'm on about? How exactly do we go from new gen to new gen? New gen... That shit, come on, shit's obvious. Use common sense, for fuck's sake. More importantly, there's a 7th case. The 7th case. It happened again. Another new gen. How long was this damn thing gonna go on for? Was I next? Would I be the victim of the 8th case? The 9th? Anxiety aside, Grimm was pretty much the new gen news guy at this point. He'd been keeping me in the loop about basically everything. Even now, he was going out of his way to link to a bunch of blog posts and news articles about it. Seems like he really wanted me to take a look. Biting my lip, I reluctantly clicked the first link. Yeah, okay. This is Sua's handiwork. It's the Dokyun puzzle. Well, then again, I guess it's probably her work, actually, since she probably was the one who sewed the bodies back together.
今日午前4時50分頃、東京都渋谷区の線路沿いで男性3人の他殺死体が鉄柱に吊り下げられているのを通りかかった新聞販売員の男性が発見しました。警察の調べによりますと、殺されたのはいずれも渋谷区に住む無職藤田康平さん、大学生の安沢三郎さん、とび職の高木亮さんの3人です。
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's trying to set Takumi up here to conclude that his best means of protection will be Orihara, because that's what happened in Sena's route, I believe, right around the time the Dokyun puzzle murder was being talked about on the news. He considered his options since Rimi wasn't available, and so he ended up choosing Sena, because we were on her route specifically. Maybe the same is about to be done here, but for Kozue instead.
3人とも胴体の部分が切断され、それぞれの上半身と下半身が別々に入れ替えられて糸で縫合されていました。3人の額にはそれぞれ謎の傷がつけられており、警察では犯人からのメッセージではないかと見て調べています。渋谷では2ヶ月ほど前から猟奇殺人事件が頻発しており、警察では今回の事件も同一犯による犯行の可能性が高いと見て捜査を続けています。
At the end of the news clip, photographs of the 3 victims were shown. I had seen those faces before.
あいつらだ。昨日僕に絡んできた。
I'd given them my wallet, but they kicked my ass anyway. I'd then fallen unconscious, and when I woke up, Kosubi was beside me. The 3 of them had been collapsed on the ground, covered in blood. I dug my wallet out from my pocket and stared at it intently. When I came to, Kosubi had been carrying it, and she'd given it back to me soon after. Could the person who killed those 3 be? No, definitely not. The last time I'd seen them, they'd been beaten to a pulp and covered in blood, but they hadn't been cut in half or anything. Which would mean they'd been killed after Kosubi and I had left. It had to have been Shogun. That wrinkly asshole was trying to provoke me. Damn it. He really was committed to driving me insane. Just how far was he willing to go? I wanted to vomit. I clutched my stomach as it churned in pain. Was I next? Would I be the next to die? It was also possible that Shogun could show up in person again. He seemed to be playing with me, like it was some kind of game after all. Maybe he'd feel like sending me on another quest soon. Just the thought alone terrified me. I tried to grasp my D-sword, but even that was just to protect myself from him. Without that sword, how could I ever hope to escape his evil clutches? It felt like he was holding a knife straight to my throat, like he was saying, I can kill you whenever I please. Please, just let me go. What had I done to deserve this? Exist? I couldn't take it anymore. Someone, save me. Please. Remy, where did you go? Weren't you supposed to protect me? She is! Just not you. No, I couldn't rely on Remy anymore. I'd even gone to school today just to see her, but she hadn't been there. Almost like she was never there to begin with. So, I had to find someone else. Someone else who I could rely on to protect me. And the first person that came to mind was...
最近渋谷はますます物騒だよ。
Called it.
昨日も怖そうなゴキゴキ男たちに拉致されそうになっちゃったから、ドカドカドカーンってしてやったのら。
Kozupi. She was as far removed from normal as could be. Understatement. And also a pretty big idiot. A big idiot that could tear you in two. But because of that, something told me that if I had to depend on her, she might actually hear me out. Okay, now I think we are officially into her route full swing now. It's gonna be nothing but new stuff from here on out. Upon entering the classroom, I looked toward Remy's seat. There was no one there, except a spooky ghost that wants your lunch money! Because, hey, ghosts get hungry too, don't you know? Next, I looked over at Kozupi's desk. And there, we have something that is not a ghost, but also gets hungry. She was in her seat, face down and huddled up. Morning. Morning, Kozupi. I didn't make eye contact, but I greeted her with my inner voice. The female Dokuns were watching me, smirking. Cunts. It was no different than yesterday. They'd all already labeled me as that otaku freak who said he was psychic and made an ass of himself on TV, and that label wasn't going away anytime soon. Well, joke's on them. You're gonna be the one you're gonna be one that will probably save 90% of them, at least. Well, 90%. Actually, no, more like 10%. Because given how devastating the third melt ends up being, there's a good chance that at least half of your classmates total will end up dead right as that earthquake hits, because of how destructive it is. So, I mean, hey, to the ones that survive, you're their hero. At least I assume you will be, in the true ending. If not, then, well... oh well, I guess. The male Dokuns didn't seem to have arrived yet. It was pretty common for them to skip first period, and that was fine by me. This school has poor enforcement of attendance. Misumi-kun merely tossed a glance in my direction, not caring enough to greet me. All ties between us were pretty much gone at this point. Then again, it was already pretty strange that he and I had ever been friends at all. Well, seeing as how he was using us in order to make himself look good to any potential dates, if that one particular diagnostic we got at one point is anything to go by, yeah, I'd argue that actually we've never really been friends at all at any point. We were just used, like a socket wrench. Or a wrench. Taking a seat, I pretended to fall asleep. And then I called out with my mind. Cosby, can you hear me? I need your help. If I don't get help fast, someone is going to kill me. Yeah. That's why I want you to protect me. You can use your D-sword. If it's payment, don't expect much from him. This is the same man here that's tried to pay off Sena with Crunchy Coons.
Takumi-san, Cosby のことバカそうって思ってるでしょ。
Well, Takumi, you don't think she's a dummy, do you? You don't think she's just a dumb little attack dog that will go bow wow wow and nip at the ankles of your enemies at the snap of your fingers, do ya? Do ya? Huh? Huh? Oof. Exposed. And now you... Well, she'll definitely hear that, for sure. Yeah, he is kind of a jackass.
それに、コズビはね、誰でもドカパキってするわけじゃないよ。コズビはコズビに悪いことしようとする人だけ。ドカックシャペキってしてあげるの。
Okay, does everyone around me think I'm stupid? Yes.
Yes.
What is this? I'm just a poor innocent otaku who hadn't done anything wrong. All I wanted is to just shut myself inside my base and spend the rest of my life in there. I swear to God, it's like everything around me is screwing with me. Gah! What the hell? What did I do to deserve this? I've done nothing wrong. I'm a good person. No, you're not. Jokuns. They're the bad ones. Well, yeah, a lot of them are. Sure, I can believe that. And Shogun, too. Please, Kosupi. I need your help. Protect me from them. Protect me from the Dokuns! You said it yourself the other day. Those cockroaches that say all those horrible things to me. They're even more worthless than I am.
言ったかもかも。でもね、コズビはその将軍さんって人知らないよ。
I know him all too well. He's this kid that looks like an old man, and he rides around in a wheelchair. And one day he's going to show up out of the blue and kill me right then and there. By running me over with his wheelchair. Back and forth, over and over again. He's the one who stole Nanami away.
そっか。タクミさん、大変なのね。
What? Is that really all you have to say?
殺したいけど、殺しちゃダメってセナさんに言われてるのら。
Well, at least someone's keeping your murderous tendencies in check. Thank God. Shit. Even Kosubi was on better terms with Sena than I was. With my head still down on my desk, I gritted my teeth and clenched my fist. What do I do? There's no one I can turn to except Kosubi. Sena kind of scares me. Even if she didn't, I doubt she'd have any interest in helping the likes of me. The only one I could rely on was Kosubi. You could always try feeding her. And I don't mean just crunchy coons either. Don't be a cheapskate about this. I know you got a lot of personal savings. Surely you can afford to give Kosubi some lobsters. The school bell rang, bringing the day to a close, and me straight out of the classroom. Just like always, the class's token dokuns were making fun of me for the whole Esper debacle. And just today alone, they'd already come after me at least 5 separate times. Seriously, didn't they have anything better to do? Could bullies like them only get their kicks from picking on others? The hell's wrong with normies? Too much. And people thought they were actually human? Apparently. Don't make me laugh. Shutting myself in my base to play ESO, immersing myself in dazzling delusions with Seiratan. That what made me happy. Very happy. And that makes me feel very icky. God, I was so pissed off. So pissed off, in fact, I'd been doing nothing but cursing out those Dokun fucks inside my head the entire way home. I felt Kosubi poke my shoulder from behind a few times. Well, hey, she's following us, so that's a start. So, Takumi, offer her lobster. Do you really have any interest in protecting me? A present? For me? Look at me. I think I just raised a flag. I hope that's all that's risen. Excuse me. Oh, it's nothing. Is this part of the present? Somewhere nice and relaxing. Oh God, careful what you think, boy. You got a bona fide mind reader with you, and a homicidal one at that. Why am I not surprised it's this place, of all places? Developers were just probably feeling lazy and wanted to reuse assets. So here we are, back in this particular stairwell, in this particular building, in this particular establishment, because it helped save on their budget. I'm on to you, devs. You can't fool me. I knew it. There are no people around, so the description is pretty spot on. Then again, it is just a staircase, so that only makes sense. So why is it that I can't seem to calm down? Maybe it's because that employee downstairs feels like he's been keeping a close eye on me. Or maybe because Kosubi and I are speaking. It's because Kosubi and I are speaking telepathically. We aren't making any noise, so from an outsider's point of view, we probably just look like a bunch of freaks making faces at each other in total silence. Do you want him to answer honestly? I mean, when you just stare at people while staying completely silent, what do you expect?
でも内緒話を聞かれることはないよ。
What? These are supposed to be secret?
しないつもりなの。
The sheer amount of energy you have really does tire me out. Some things never change, though.
ごめんなさいなのら。ポズピー疲れるかな。なるべくね疲れないようにするの。
Whatever. Can we just go back to what you were saying? Didn't you say something about a present?
そうそう。コズピーはいっつもお友達になった人にプレゼントしてるのです。
It wouldn't happen to be a severed limb or anything like that, would it? As she spoke, Kosubi started rummaging around in her bag.
セナちゃんにもあげたんだよ。あ、そうだ。たくみちゃんはキャンディさんなめなめするかな。
Well, unless severed limbs come in convenient little wrappings like this, and in this small size too, methinks it truly is just a piece of candy. Why, thank you. She offered me a piece of candy. Just what the hell did she actually keep in her bag? Probably lots of them. For now, though, I just took the candy, unwrapped it, and popped it in my mouth. It was lemon-flavored. How did I know it'd be lemon-flavored? The tangy flavor spread throughout my mouth. Pretty refreshing, honestly. I could go for snacking on a 100% chocolate bar myself. What was the present, Kosupi? That was the present, you dumbass.
違うよ。それはね、コズピーがいっつもなめなめしてるキャンディさんなのら。
And you just expected me to know that?
プレゼントはこれなの。
Oh. Didn't know you... is this handmade? Didn't know you were into that. She happily pulled out a number of fanciful accessories from her bag, each one made up of a bunch of colorful beads. The hell are those? Bead jewelry, son!
ブチュブチュさんです。
Clickety-clackities. Somehow that's just the perfect name to call them.
ブレスとか携帯のストラップとか指輪もあるしヘアピンもチャームもあるよ。
Did you make all these? By hand?
違うよ。コズピーが手芸をやろうとするとぐちゃぐちゃドカーンってなっちゃうのら。
Oh.
これはね、ママが作ってくれるんだよ。コズピーがビーズ大好きだから全部ブチュブチュさんなのら。
Kosubi suddenly grabbed my hand. The sheer warmth and softness of it made my heart skip a beat.
たくみさん、ドキッてしたね。
Only because it was a surprise attack.
たくみさんがドキッてするとコズピーもドキンドキンってしちゃうの。
Oh, come on, we just started here. It's a little too early for the ship teasing, don't you think? With a smile still on her face, Kosubi handed me something made out of beads. It was probably a cell phone strap if I had to guess. Well, hey! It'll make your cell phone stand out a little bit more.
はい、これあげますね。
I don't want it.
もしかしてコズピー迷惑だった？ ぐちゅぐちゅさんあげてるんだよ。
With a turn that would give anyone whiplash, Kosubi burst into tears. Oh, for why does she have to be so quick to cry all the time? I mean, isn't it just something a girl would wear? I feel weird putting it on. Just take it!
そうだったのな。じゃ、たくみさんはプレゼントされても困っちゃうだけだね。これあげる人、2人目だったのに。ぐっそんなのら。
Seriously, just take it. You're making her do the big sniffle. Not the little sniffle, but the big sniffle. Depressed as could be, Kosubi made to take back the cell phone strap, but I quickly pulled my hand back and jammed it into my jacket pocket. Good boy!
Takumi-san?
I changed my mind. I'll take it. She said that she gives a present to all her friends, yet I'm only the second person to get one. In other words, Kosubi must not have any friends. So the first one she gave was to Sena. No doubt about it. Huh. Kind of feel cherished. Shit. Forgot Kosubi can read all my thoughts. But honestly, as much as I feel sorry for you, I think we're actually the same in some ways.
コズピーも同じことを思ったよ。コズピーが初めて学校行った時、たくみさんを見てね、すごく辛そうだなって思ったのら。コズピーも辛かったから一緒だってほっとしたの。
Same, huh? It reminds me of what Sena told me about Kozupi's life before she transferred. She and I really are alike. We're both closed off to the world. We're both at the mercy of the malicious entities surrounding us. We both avoid crowds. We both avoid human contact. We're both afraid of people. And we both like hiding away by some dimly lit staircase, making ourselves unnoticeable. You know what they say. Birds of a feather flock together. As she played with the clickety-clackety in her hand, Kosubi had a faraway look in her eyes.
お友達作って一緒に遊んだりして一緒にお弁当食べたり一緒にお勉強したり文化祭とかの行事を一緒に頑張ったり一緒に恋のお話をしたりそんなね普通の生活で十分だったのら特別なことなんて何にも望んでなかったよ
Suddenly, the expression on Kosubi's face disappeared. And then, she tore apart the clickety-clackety she had been playing with. The beads went everywhere, rolling, tumbling down the stairs. I've been thinking the same thing. Why am I the only one who has to suffer like this? I always ask myself, what did I do to deserve this?
コズピーはね、悪いことしたよ。
Kosubi stuck out her tongue, and her smile came back. A bad thing? Do you mean the thing where you cut off your classmates' arms? Or...
殺したいって願ったもん。コズピーに意地悪する人たち全員ぶち殺したいって願っちゃったもん。
You really are pretty twisted.
でも悪いことを願うのは悪いことじゃないよ。
Well, Yes and no. I would say that ultimately, if you don't act upon any ill-natured thoughts that may cross your mind, like say you want to beat someone up or kill someone or key their car or anything you can think of, really, as long as you don't. It's one thing to think something nasty, but ultimately what really matters is whether or not you act upon it. Because I mean, it's pretty normal for people to have aggressive thoughts at various points throughout their lifetime, especially if they're faced with circumstances that tend to irritate, annoy, stress them out, whatever. So, and it's not like you have the ability to literally alter the fabric of reality just based on any wishes you make either. So, I mean, in your case specifically, at least, I would say ultimately what really mattered was whether or not you chose to act upon that desire to hurt other people, which, well, in the case of those two classmates, you kind of did. So, you know.
あれれ、悪いことを願うのが悪い。悪いから悪いことを願うのかな。悪い。悪ですね。とにかく、負の感情は否定されるものじゃないってへんてこなボード持ったおじさんが言ってたのら。悪いことを願ったからディソードがコズピーの力になってくれるのら、ディソードがコズピーを守ってくれるのら。だからね、もう普通なんていらないの。
Are you sure? Have you really given up trying to live a normal life? Are you sure that's what you want? That you won't regret it?
めんどくさいのは嫌なの。世界には悪い人ばっかりだし。
What about Sena? Do you think she's a bad person too?
セナさんはお友達です。悪い人じゃないよ。
The voice of Kosupi's heart sounded incredibly happy.
あとね、たくみちゃんもだよ。ブチブチ友達なのら。
If we could all think like Kosupi does, life would probably be a whole lot easier. Or is the reason Kosupi thinks this way because she was broken at some point in the past? I vote the latter. It's not really something I can answer. While I might complain all the time about the world around me, inside my head that is, at the end of the day, all I want is for someone to help me. That's all I ask. While I may have thought we were similar, I guess Kosupi and I really are different.
一緒なのら。
For some reason I didn't understand, Kosupi seemed very convinced of that. She then vigorously stood up.
ほいじゃ、帰りましょう。
As soon as that left her mouth, Kosupi raced down the stairs. And then, and displayed as very in character for her, she slipped and fell on the very last step. Uh-oh. The inside of Roth was as packed as ever. With a slight limp, Kosupi made her way through the building. There were tears in her eyes. Are you okay?
転ぶのは慣れてるよ。
Kosupi flashed a brave smile. But that smile quickly faded. Uh-oh. What's triggering her bloodlust? Kosupi stopped dead in her tracks, and her gaze shot straight behind me. When I glanced over my shoulder to see what she was looking at, I saw a bunch of mirrors for sale, Oh. Oh dear. Everything from hand mirrors to full-on dressers were on display. With a stiff expression, Cosby looked away from the mirrors and started to quickly walk away.
Takumi-san, mata ashita ne.
The voice of her heart held not even a trace of the energy from before. I ran after Kozupi, but I had taken too long to do so, and now I couldn't see her anywhere. I hadn't said anything to her about wanting us to leave together, but she was the only person I had left. Losing her started to make me freak out, and I could feel the anxiety slowly welling up. Being all by myself, especially in the corner of Shibuya, I really didn't like it. The mere sight of the human stampedes moving along caused sweat to bead all over me. So, knowing I couldn't take it, I gave up on trying to find Kozupi and decided to hurry back to my base. I heard that. Who's taking pictures? What was that? I heard something. The loud clicking sound of a camera shutter. I shifted my gaze toward the sound, but I couldn't see anyone with the camera. That was when I realized the sound hadn't been an actual camera, but a cell phone. That explained why the sound had been so clear. And yet, despite that realization, I still couldn't locate anyone that was pointing a cell phone at me. Was I just too on edge? I don't think so in this case. Call it a gut feeling. No, that couldn't be it. My social suicide would have been incredibly well known throughout Japan, especially considering how much people freaked out over espers. So it wouldn't have been all that strange if there were people who found it amusing to snap random photos of me. The streets were overflowing with people. Well, at least none of them were looking at me. Don't look at me. Biting my lip, I continued dragging myself forward. I hung my head as low as possible so as to not be recognized. There it was again. Someone had taken a photo of me again. And this time I knew for a fact I had felt their gaze on me. It wasn't just the usual God's gaze, but a gaze harboring nothing but pure malice. Probably Suwa. I looked around, and yet, after all that, there was still no one there. Where the hell are you? Sneaking photos like a goddamn peeping Tom. I'll sue the fuck out of you for violating the rights to my likeness. I would pay money to actually see you try to approach and talk to a lawyer. I don't think it's gonna bode well for you. But it wasn't like they were ever gonna hear me cursing them out inside my head, and I very much didn't have the courage to say it out loud. And even if I did, it'd only bring even more attention to me. I went back to walking. This time, I doubled my speed, weaving as best as I could between the herds of pedestrians clogging the road. Hey! It's the same woman in the other, right in front of the Roth store. Fascinating. The sounds only got worse. The shudders continued to chase me. Then I thought I heard someone giggle. I looked around again. There were a number of people holding their cell phones at eye level. A middle-aged businessman, a woman in a suit, a high school boy, and some Dokyun girl. A pretty varied selection. As I moved, they would move their phones in an attempt to follow me. Don't look at me. Don't take pictures of me. I couldn't take it anymore, so I took off running in another direction. It didn't matter how long I ran. It didn't matter how far I ran. It didn't matter how many people I threaded the needle through. The sound always found me. Gaze always caught up to me. Every time I thought I'd gotten away from the noise, it always started up once again. In my head, it was like my enemies were multiplying without end. Eventually, I ran into a red light, forcing me to stop. Planting my hands on my knees, I tried as best as I could to catch my breath, all while the noise of the shutters persisted. My gaze trained downward. I clenched my fists as I tried to stomach the humiliation. That was all I could really do at that point. Suddenly, a thought occurred to me. Was this noise really being produced by such a large unknown number of people? Wouldn't they all be taking way too many photos? Sure, I was basically a celebrity now. But I wasn't famous, I was infamous. Photos of me wouldn't be worth jack shit. I'd say most people consider me to be a walking piece of trash at this point. So I just couldn't get over how strange it was that the world had picked today of all days to start taking all these photos of me. And they weren't even hiding it either. Was it Shogun? Was he orchestrating this attack on me right now? Ugh. Just leave me alone already. What the hell have I ever done to you? What the fuck is your problem? I want to kill him. After breaking me completely, while he watched from the shadows, he was finally going to kill me once and for all. This malicious harassment wouldn't be enough. I would be the next new-gen case, murdered in some horrible, grotesque fashion. Therefore, I have to kill him before he kills me. I grabbed my head with both hands. I had a pounding headache. And yet, despite it all, I still didn't feel God's gaze. Despite the countless photos being taken via cell phones, Shogun's typical gaze wasn't following me at all. I want to kill him. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The rapid snapping of camera shutters completely disappeared. Something must have spooked them. Surprised, I started to look up. Oh shit. Only to hear a sound that I had heard many times before. Right behind me, within silence, came a quiet, creaking noise that I would never have heard otherwise. I sensed a presence. Someone in a wheelchair was right behind me. But who? Who do you think? I laughed at my own wishful thinking. Their identity was obvious. It was him. Shogun. Ignoring the red light entirely, I leapt onto the crosswalk. My ears were assailed by a chorus of horns, and one vehicle was on the brink of running me over just before they barely managing to screech to a halt. But I couldn't look back now. I had to keep running as hard as I possibly could. Even though I'd made it back to my base, I was still haunted by the sound of those shutters. Moving to a nearby residential area hadn't helped either. Even though it had been entirely deserted, I could still hear the endless clicking and clacking of the shutters. It was as if they'd been seared into my very eardrums. Every person I passed would take out their cell phone just to get a shot at me. Not one of them said, "Oh wow, Please let me shake your hand, or ew, as I moved past them. No one even so much as grinned at me. Nothing but expressionless faces taking pictures with their cell phones. So I just continued to walk past them, pretending like they weren't even there. Clearly something strange was going on. I didn't sense even a hint of malice nor ill will from them. They felt entirely mechanical. Yeah, kind of like automata, except in this case, there was someone actively controlling them. I sat in the corner of my room, legs gripped tightly against my chest as I curled up into a ball. All I could do was continue to grind my teeth out of sheer frustration. It was all him. It was all Shogun's doing. While en route to my base, I'd heard it. The sound of a creaking wheelchair. I'd only heard it once, and I hadn't turned around to check, but there was still no doubt in my mind. My hands just wouldn't stop trembling. Glancing at the time, I realized it was already 11 p.m. I spent 5 hours scared shitless. Letting out a deep sigh, I lashed out at him inside my head. I hope you die. I hope you die. I hope you die. I hope you die. The worst part about Shogun was that he didn't kill you quickly. He would gently wrap around a silk cord around your neck, and over time, he would slowly tighten that cord, before eventually he would suffocate. And because of that, I knew exactly how he was. Anxiety flared up within me, and I began to dread even going outside. Help me, Kozupi. I can't fight Shogun on my own. I don't even have my own D-sword. There's nothing I can do. Kozupi, why won't you help me? I had to think. Somehow I had come up with a way for Kozupi to protect me. She could read my mind, so I definitely couldn't lie to her. Then, what about money? Would she help me if I offered her compensation? Lobster! That noise just now. With a horrible gulp, I squeezed myself into an even tighter ball and strained my ears for the slightest sound. I just hallucinated it. Yeah, that was the most obvious answer. I hadn't hallucinated it. Poor you. It was the sound of a wheelchair. I could hear it coming from outside. I immediately held my breath and strained my ears even harder, trying desperately to hear any noise coming through the wall. There it was. He was outside. Wait, maybe I was just imagining it? Maybe I was just imagining him slowly moving closer and closer to me. I wasn't just imagining it. He was wheeling around the outside of the container. I heard his voice. It was Shogun's laugh. He was laughing. In the dead of night, he was sitting outside my container in his creaky little wheelchair, laughing. But it didn't end there. The very next second, I heard the sound of a cell phone's camera shutter. Had Shogun taken a picture? What are you taking a picture of? A container? No. It wasn't just Shogun. There were other people there. Not just 2 or 3. It felt like there were at least 10. They were all taking pictures of their phones in perfect unison. The sound of the shutters echoed off the walls and coiled into my ears. This wasn't possible. A delusion like this was just that. A delusion. If I peeked outside, surely nobody would be there. It was all just some simple hallucination. Sure, the container walls were pretty thin, but there was still no way I should have been able to hear the shutters, or the laughter, or the wheelchair. And definitely not this clearly. I didn't have the courage to go outside and check for myself. Fear overwhelming me, I burst into tears and wrapped a blanket around my head in an attempt to cover my ears. Don't come in. 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 How much time had passed? It had only been about 10 minutes, but it felt more like 10 hours. I threw off the blanket and got up as quietly as I possibly could. I listened very carefully. I didn't hear anything outside. All I could hear was the sound of my PC. So it really had just been a hallucination. Yeah, it had to have been. You wish. Just to be sure, though, I should check outside. There was no way anyone was out there, but still. Even if someone had been there, surely they wouldn't be there anymore. I positioned myself by the door. There was a padlock on the inside keeping the door locked. Retrieving the key, I stuck it inside the padlock. But I didn't have it in me to turn the key that easily. My heart was pounding out of my chest, and my nerves refused to calm down. I was terrified. The mere thought of opening my door absolutely terrified me. This could have all just been some total bait. Someone could be outside right now, biding their time as they waited with bated breath for the opportune moment to strike. I wanted to tell myself that something like that would never happen to me, but it was pointless to even try. I had been deceived over and over again, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was so tired. Why couldn't I just be left alone? Why did I have to endure these horrible, absurd trials? They were just too much for me. Fuck. I slammed my fist into the door with a loud bang. The noise resounded incredibly loudly, and my hand immediately hurt like hell. Not a sound came from outside. There were no signs of anyone being out there. There was nobody there. Of course there was nobody there. You'd have to be stupid to think there was somebody there. I bit my lip so hard, blood began oozing out. And with that, I somehow found the strength to remove the padlock. And then, I slowly opened the door. Say cheese! In an attempt to investigate, I peeked my head out from my base. There was nobody there. It was still as death. Nothing moved. There was no sign of Shogun's creaky wheelchair, nor his laugh, nor the cell phone camera shutters. Nothing.
誰かいますか?
I waited for a moment, but there was still no response. But of course there wasn't. There was nobody there, so of course nobody would reply to me. That was just common sense. Nervous as could be, I began to check even further outside, shifting my gaze toward any shadowy areas I could see. Yeah, no one was there. Everything I'd heard, I'd hallucinated. All the repeated extreme stress had caused me to start breaking down. Yeah, that made perfect sense. I just gotten scared and ended up losing it.
僕涙目。もうね、アホかと、バカかと。
The sheer stress I was feeling left me trembling as I laughed at my own pathetic state. Look at this dumbass. It was laughable, really. I couldn't help but lol. Man, I was so worn out. Going back to my room, I let my Saratan figure soothe my soul. And torture mine! Next, I sat down at my PC and logged into Freypara. That's where I checked for the new updates in the Bloodtoon community. I could also see if my friends posted any status updates. A sense of dread was building within me. Something wasn't right. What the hell is this? All of them are from the author Spider. The list of my friends' statuses popped up on my display. None of it was from any friends whose names I typically saw. The list had been bombarded with a single name posting over and over again in quick succession, burying all other posts. Hey, I see Hazuki down there. The list had been... Oh, okay. I just read that. The friend's name being Spider. Did I even have a friend with that handle? Well, I'd be lying if I said I knew all my friends. I had over 100 of them, so it'd be stupid to make that claim. It looked like Spider had written around 15 entries in the past 30 minutes or so. When I saw the titles of the posts, I gulped. Before I knew it, my throat had gone completely dry. For one reason or another, I was struck with an immense sense of déjà vu. When I saw the titles, I had a feeling I knew exactly what the contents would be. You and me both. With trembling fingers, I moved the mouse and clicked one of the entries.
これって
The front of this very building. The post had contained a single image, and by the looks of it, it had been taken by a cell phone. There was no text, nor anything else in the post. Just the image. There was no doubt this photo was of the Kurenai conference hall. It seemed to have been taken at night, too. That can't be right. It was just my mind playing tricks on me. I forced a dry smile as I clicked on another post. Despite me crying out in disbelief, even I could have predicted what was to come just by reading the title. And yet, the horror gave rise to countless goosebumps across my skin, each bump like a stewing bubble of sheer dread. Those noises, they'd just been hallucinations, hadn't they? The sound of the wheelchair, the sound of Shogun's laughter, the sound of cell phone shutters. Had those actually been real? Had someone actually been outside my base until only a short while ago, taking pictures and uploading them with their phone? The latest post was titled, "The Man of the Hour." Timestamp read to 12:14 a.m. And right now, it was 12:21 a.m. Their last status update had only been 7 minutes ago.
嘘だよ。嘘に決まってる。
Who was the man of the hour supposed to be? Who the hell could it be? I'll give you a hint. You can find him in a mirror. I really didn't want to look. But I just couldn't bear not to. I'd never be able to calm down otherwise. I snapped my gaze to the door and back. I had to make absolutely sure the lock was on correctly. And right after I did that, scared as could be, I clicked the latest status update. It was a picture of me. Just a moment ago, I opened the door to see who was there. I thought nobody was out there. But, hey, I told you, you should have said cheese. Someone had been outside. Well, I must say, this was a particularly nasty case of mindfuck, even by the standards I've seen throughout this whole game so far. Probably not the worst I've seen personally, but definitely up there. Anywho, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end things here, and we can continue on through Kozupi's route in the next episode. I'm quite curious to see how things will play out this time, because, well, it's not like we have any easy means to get in touch with Kozupi, unlike with Sena, or any other girls, really. I mean, then again, did we really have an easy way to do so with any of them? Well, I'm sure we'll run into her at school or something. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see how this particular route will end up playing out. So, I hope you all enjoyed this latest episode of Chaos Head Noah. If you did, and you want to see more content from me, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Take care.